and really the new frequency and container of having it all.
I think there's such an expansion of energy when we witness somebody who's able to step into that place that you describe. I would love to know about some of the individuals that you have helped them overcome whatever issues they have, and then they step into their ability to have it all.
Yes. Oh my gosh, there's so many, but I can think about a couple in particular. There's a beautiful lady who has been a single mom for several years, and the divorce was very difficult on her financially, with 4 kids of her own. And she was at the verge of depression and just feeling like there was really no way out, hopeless. And when we started working with her and we really started focusing on, it was for her, it was self-love. And so that was the avenue that we took, self-love. And then that took us to I am enough. And that took us to I am worthy of having and receiving. So sometimes we feel like when something traumatic in our life happens, our life is over. Or, it's sort of something that is ingrained in us. Sometimes we want to carry the sense of failure. So we worked through forgiveness, we worked through self-love, and got it to the point of, I can have this. I can recreate my life. I have the ability. I am worthy, and I believe in myself. Through healing some of her childhood traumas as well, connected to the feeling of abandonment and rejection and failure. And then from that point, right after that, she had several promotions in her career. She became a trainer, facilitator in her job. She bought a new house. Her kids are now also very successful. She became the model for her kids. And it's just beautiful to see all her kids being really successful and really having that admiration for her.
Beautiful. So many that are on the spiritual path have had lifetimes of being a shaman and being on their own and excluded. And we are in this awakening now where we're in new energies and those things don't apply, and we can find our beloved partner. We don't have to be single and doing this work on our own. But I've noticed that often in the spiritual community, it can be difficult for others to find another partner. And sometimes there's been partners where you've come together and you thought this was the one, and then it's been a very traumatic breakup. So what is your advice, and how would you help those who are having relationship struggles in finding their soulmate or their beloved or someone that's matching their vibration on the spiritual path?
That's a really good question, because everything stems from where we are, right? We attract where we are. What we attract in is what we're reflecting out. So the advice is, first of all, to be the person that you want to be, to create that match for yourself. Meaning, your inner work is really important. Being in the place of I am and feeling peaceful about who you are. So sometimes what I find when it comes to relationships is that there's a need and attachment to have somebody in our life. But in reality, we don't really need anyone to be happy. So that's the starting point. We move into the place of happiness and peace within ourselves and self-acceptance, so that we're not attracting somebody that's going to fill us up, or that we think needs to fill us up, or it's that statement of my other half. Because in reality, we want somebody that compliments us, brings out the best out of us, somebody that also challenges us to be better and pushes us to new limits. And we want somebody that can also call us out when we're not being our best. And when we can be okay with that, and when we are at a place where I am happy, if nothing changed in my life, I'm happy and blissful, that's when the person shows up. Not when we're out seeking, but sometimes, I wouldn't say all the time, but the best time, or the best relationships that I've seen is when you're complete, when you're done your inner work, when you feel like you're at a place that you can be the best person for yourself first, then the best person for somebody else. And it's a very beautiful synergy between the two. So my advice for everyone would be to, first of all, look at what you want in your own life. What makes you happy? Move to the place of joy and happiness. And from that place, then you will be able to manifest somebody that is a true complement and expression. Now, on the other side of that, everybody that we attract into our life is a learning, is an experience. They're meant to help us grow. So even if we meet somebody and they're not the perfect match, there's something to learn in that relationship. So we don't want to discount those relationships. We want to look at them and maybe look at, what do I have to learn? What is this person here to show me? Sometimes it's more, we're needing more self-love. Sometimes that we have unresolved issues with one of our parents. So we want to look at that information and be grateful for all the relationships that show up in our life.
Can I just say, everybody listen up. Maria has just given everything that we've been teaching for all these years about relationships. And it's so often the case that when you stop trying, the one shows up. And we have such a classic one, I won't give names, where the woman was just tired of everything and said, no, I'm not interested. I'm happy alone. I'm not interested. And the love of her life actually shows up, and she said, nah, get away. And he goes, no, it's me. And she said, get away. And finally, after trying, she says, okay, I'll see what's there. And of course, it was him. So, it can go both ways. But it's so interesting to hear you echo what we have taught so long. It's a true thing for all of you single people out there. Just be comfortable with yourself first. And I know you had a question.
Well, and it's true. And I'm so blessed with my relationship with Lee. But I think we always go through new discoveries that you need to make. That's what keeps the relationship moving and growing. How would you help someone who has gone through betrayal? And now I'm not just talking about betrayal from a loved one. It could be a business partner. It could be a child that no longer wants to have you in their life. There's so many levels of betrayal. It's very wounding. How would you help someone move through that issue?
Yeah, that's a very sensitive issue because that betrayal comes in many different ways. But sometimes when there's betrayal, it's because there is an expectation of like we had an expectation from somebody and they didn't really meet that expectation in the way that we wanted them. So the first thing that I do with my clients is to look at what was that expectation that for you feels like a hurt, feels like that person didn't honor you in the way that you wanted to be honored. Again, we're the creators of our life. So we're creating everything. And we participated in that relationship there, whether it's with a loved one or a friend or somebody outside that created that. So we want to look at how did I create this? How did I contribute to this? And then when we can look at that part of ourselves, then we begin to take responsibility for what we're creating. And then we can more easily forgive ourselves and forgive others and be able to move on and take the learning from that experience and create something new. And everything in our life, it's really meant to create more awareness and awakening of ourselves. The statement of it only makes you stronger, meaning that it moves you more into your power when you realize that you're participating in that. You're not a victim to that. And when you move it, and when you see what's happening from the place of power instead of victim, then you're more easily able to accept your own participation in it, and then learn and integrate your learning. Let's say in that participation, you didn't own your power, or in that participation, you created some situations where, that happened. Whatever that is, it's important to understand that we are all creators, that we're almighty creators, and we're co-creating with others. And when we look at that situation, then we can observe ourselves with love and compassion, and then detach from that wounding and that pain and that hurt, and then resolve it through that process of forgiveness and self-love.
I was going to ask you a question. Do you believe that everyone came here with a purpose? In other words, there's something they have to do?
I do, but that purpose could be anything, right? It could be like being a teacher. It could be being a doctor. It could be being a mom. It could be many different things. So I do believe that we all have a purpose, and whether it's, you know, being an influencer or having a show or, driving a bus, we all have a purpose because we're in service. We're in service to others and we're service to ourselves. And, that purpose also helps us um, do what we came here to do, whether it's bring joy to somebody else or facilitate for others or contribute to others and in different ways.
Thank you. That's a great answer. We teach, and I've had people come to me and say, what's my life's purpose? I can't tell you how many times I hear that. What's my life's purpose? What am I here for? And in interviewing them, we find out that they're in it. And they don't even recognize what the light that they are, doing what they're doing. So sometimes just being here and what you're doing is what you came for. But thanks for answering that.
Well, I want to know how you help someone move more into joy, because when we read your bio, that was a very important part of us being in our full potential, which is having a life of joy. What does that look like, feel like? How do you help someone move into that vibration of joy?
Yeah. Earlier I mentioned that we are co-creators. We're powerful creators. And the way we create our reality is through decisions, choices, action. So the first thing that I teach everybody to do is to choose it, because you're creating your attitude, you're creating your perspective, you're creating how you see the world. So the first step would be to choose it. And then to develop a practice that allows you to move into joy. For instance, something that you love, like hiking or walking or painting or meditating, something that allows you to be in the space of joy, or spending time with your kids or your family, something that just allows you to just feel the joy and that happiness, playing with your pet. Whatever that is, to connect to something, make that choice, connect to something so that you can hold the vibration of it, so that you can see how the world looks through those eyes. And then the other part of that is to bring other elements in, like gratitude, like peace, like loving kindness, like joy. And that could be done through meditation. So sitting down, choosing joy, thinking about something that's really joyful to you, and then being grateful for that place that you're in, or the people that are in your life, or what, the journey that you're on. And then feeling love and compassion for those around you, and especially for yourself. Sometimes we're not able to experience joy because there's some part of us that we haven't forgiven. So, looking at your life and looking at events in your life or parts of your life, especially your childhood, to see if there's any part of you that needs to be integrated, inviting that little part of you to be in that space of joy, you welcoming that part of you with open arms, compassion and loving kindness and complete and total acceptance, and allowing that part of you to fully express themselves, the wonder within them, and then integrating that part when you've allowed them to fully be in that place. So it's a beautiful practice. And joy, again, it begins with that choice, and then begins with having something that allows us to be in the space. And then from that space, looking at what else can I heal and what else can I bring into the space of joy, whether it's, again, your childhood, whether it's other events in your life, whatever you're holding in your field that is creating judgment, that's creating criticism, that is creating self-sabotage or self-punishment, or it's creating self-hatred or self-loathing. So we want to balance those out with happiness, joy, forgiveness, and then allow your heart to be filled with unconditional love, and then allow that to overflow to all those areas of your life, and even people in your life that that either are pulling away from you, meaning that they're not in your same alignment, or maybe creating resistance with you, or people that you really want in your life. Just creating the space for more of that.
I love that. Now, it's obvious to everyone watching that you do amazing one-on-one individual sessions as part of your practice. You just have that ability to see into the field of the person in front of you. But I'm also aware that you do group sessions. So how do you work with a group?
It's very similar to working with the individual. So when a group comes together, it's a collective energy, and we look at the collective energy. And very similar. It's I like to see them like when we come together, we're all kind of sitting in a circle and different things light up as we're working together. When we're working on wealth, when we're looking at working on health. So as an example, if we're working with health, I'll start to see poverty contracts kind of jumping up into the center or up into the top of the energy. Or if there's any ancestral contracts that they're carrying connected to lack and scarcity or survival, that are affecting sort of the group energy or individuals in the group, then they start pulling up and revealing themselves to the surface. Information. And many times it's interesting because their guides will show up. And I'll just see beautiful guides, celestial beings surrounding the circle, and also giving me information of this is what we're doing. This is the activation. This is the process. This is the conversation we're having with them. This is what we're taking them. This is to the new space that we're taking them. This is how we're going to create the upgrade. So it's very, very beautiful. It's such a beautiful experience of light and joy and facilitation and transformation and love. And it's a wealth of information that comes from the group. And even though it's a lot of information, it's actually very well organized. When we see the contracts and we see, it's like they're kind of creating this strategy that we're going to move through. So we move through one and then the other and then the other and the other until we get to that place of completion. And then we go into the blessings.
Oh, I love it. And that's why I did mention, because so much healing can come out of group work, sometimes more than just individual work. Right. So if you're interested in Maria and connecting with what she has to offer, her website is 360, that's 360, the number, 360prosperity.com. I mean, I just love the idea of that. Yeah. Title in your website that you have 360 degrees all around your prosperity in all areas. Maria, any final words before we have to go to a break?
It's been beautiful to be here with all of you. And I would say that, really, really be clear on what you want, because when you're clear on what you want, that's the first step to creating that focus energy and the path toward it. And staying focused on that, and you will achieve it. You can have it all.
Oh,
that's great.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, you can have it all. Just decide what is it that you want. It's as simple as that. So we're going to take a break for 10 minutes. Maybe that's a good time to get clear and focus on what you want. And then we'll see you back here for the Circle of 12.